2001 A Space Odyssey, Arthur C. Clarke. Part 2, TMA1, Psychomagnetic Anomaly. Chapter 7, Special Flight. No matter how many times you left us, Dr. Haywood Floyd told himself, the excitement never really palled. He had been to Mars once, to the moon 3 times, and to the various space stations more often than he could remember. Yet, as the moment of takeoff approached, he was conscious of a rising tension, a feeling of wonder and awe, yes, and of nervousness, which put him on the same level as any server about to receive his first baptism of space. The jet that had rushed him here from Washington after that midnight briefing with the president was now dropping down toward one of the most familiar, yet most exciting, landscapes in all the world. There lay the first 2 generations of the space age, spanning 20 miles of the Florida coast. To the south, outlined by a winking red warning light, were the giant gantries of the Saturns and Neptunes that had set man on the path to the planet and had now passed into history. Near the horizon, the gleaming silver tower, bathed in bloodlight, stood the last of the Saturn V. The almost 20 years of national monument and place of pilgrimage, not far away, looming against the sky like a man-made mountain, was the incredible bulk of the vehicle assembly building, still the largest single structure on Earth. But these things now belong to the past, and he was flying toward the future, and they banked. The Floyd could see below him amazing buildings, then a great airstrip, then a broad, dead straight sky across the flat Florida landscape, then multiple layers of a giant launching track. At its end, surrounded by vehicles and gantries, a spaceplane lay gleaming in a pool of light, being prepared for its leap to the stars. In a sudden failure of perspective brought on by his swift change of speed and height, it seemed to Floyd that he was looking down on a small silver mouse, caught in the beam of a flashlight. Then the tiny, scurrying figures on the ground brought home to him the real size of the spacecraft. It must have been 200 feet across the narrow V of its wings, and an enormous vehicle, Floyd told himself with some incredulity, yet also with some pride, it waiting for me. As far as he knew, it was the first time that the entire mission had been set up to take a single man to the moon. Through it was 2 o'clock in the morning. A group of reporters and cameramen intercepted him on his way to the blood-lit Orion 3 spacecraft. He knew several of them by sight, but the chairman of the National Council of Astronautics, the news conference was part of his way of life. This was neither the time nor the place for one, and he had nothing to say, but it was important not to offend the gentleman of the communications media. Dr. Floyd, I'm Jim Foster of Associated News. Could you give us a few words about this flight of yours? I'm very sorry. I can't say anything. But you did meet the president earlier this evening? Asked a familiar voice. Oh, hello, Mike. I'm afraid you've been dragged out of bed for nothing. Definitely, no comment. Can you at least confirm or deny that some kind of epidemic has broken out on the moon? A TV reporter asked, managing to jog alongside and keep Floyd properly framed in his miniature TV camera. Sorry, said Floyd, shaking his head. What about the quarantine? Asked another reporter. How about it will be kept on? Still no comment. Dr. Floyd demanded a very short and determined lady of the press. What possible justification can there be for this total blackout of news from the moon? Has it anything to do with the political situation? What political situation? Floyd asked dryly. There was a sprinkle of laughter, and someone called, Have a good trip, doctor, as he made his way into the sanctuary of the boarding gantry. As long as he could remember, he had been in another situation so much as a permanent crisis. Since the 1970s, the world had been dominated by two problems which, ironically, tended to cancel each other out. Though birth control was cheap, reliable, endorsed by all the main religions, it had come too late. The population of the world was now 60 billion, a third of them in the Chinese Empire. Laws had even been passed in some authoritarian societies limiting families to 2 children, but their enforcement had proved impracticable. As a result, food was sought in every country. Even the United States had meatless days, and widespread famine was predicted within 15 years, despite heroic effort to farm the sea and to develop synthetic foods. With the need for international cooperation more urgent than ever, there were still as many frontiers as in any earlier age. In a million years, the human race had lost a few of its aggressive instincts. Along symbolic lines visible amid pollutions, the 38 nuclear powers watched one another with belligerent anxiety. Among them, they possessed sufficient megatons to remove the entire surface crust of the planet. Although there had been, miraculously, no use of atomic weapon, this situation could hardly last forever. And now, for their own inscrutable reasons, the Chinese were offering to the smallest have-not nation a complete nuclear capability of 50 warhead and delivery system. The cost was under $200 million, and each term could be arranged. Perhaps they were only trying to show off their shocking economy by turning absolute F1 system into hard cash, and some observers had suggested. Or perhaps they had discovered a method of warfare so advanced that they no longer had needed such toys. There had been talk to radio hypnosis from satellite transmitters, compulsion virus, and blackmail by synthetic disease for which they alone possess the antidote. These charming ideas were almost certainly propaganda or poor fantasy, but it was not safe to discount any of them. Every time Floyd took off from us, he wondered if It would still be there when the time came to return. The trim stewardess greeted him as he entered the cabin. Good morning, Dr. Floyd. I'm Miss Simpson. I'd like to welcome you aboard on behalf of Captain Tins and other co-pilot First Officer Ballard. Thank you, said Floyd with a smile, wondering why studios always had to sound like a robot tour guide. Take off in 5 minutes, she said, gesturing in an empty 20 passengers cabin. You can take any seat you want, but Captain Tins recommend the forward window seat on the left if you want to watch the docking operations. I'll do that, he answered, moving toward the preferred seat. The stewardess pushed over him a while and then moved to her cubicle at the rear of the cabin. Floyd settled down in his seat, adjusted the safety harness around the waist and shoulders, and strapped his briefcase of the adjacent seat. The moment later, the loudspeaker came on with a soft popping noise. Good morning, said Mr. Simpson's voice. This is a special flight 3, Kennedy to Space Station 1. She was determined, it seemed, to go through the full routine for a solitary passenger, and Floyd could not resist a smile as she continued inexorably. Our transmit time will be 55 minutes. Maximum acceleration will be 2g, and we will be weightless for 30 minutes. Please do not leave your seat until the safety sign is lit. Floyd looked over his shoulder and called, "Thank you." He caught a glimpse of a slightly embarrassed but charming smile. He leaned back into his seat and relaxed. His trip, he calculated, would cost taxpayers slightly over $1 million. If it was not justified, he would be out of his job. But he could always go back to the university and to his interrupted studies of planetary formation. Water countdown, procedures all go. The captain's voice said over the speaker with a smoothing sing-song used in RT chart. Lift off in 1 minute.